Gifu, Japan, here are your referees for today's encounter between Cuba and the USA. Klaus Fezer on the left. Hobar is the Hungarian referee on the right. Fezer will direct traffic today. I'm Sean Farquhar along with Chuck Schreiner. Chuck, both Cuba and the USA coming into today's match, 5-set losses. Would they be on an emotional down, do you think?
Well, I think Cuba may well be. It was a grudge match against Russia. People have been looking to those two teams to be the leading candidates to win this the whole tournament for a long time now. USA had yet to even win a set. Now, even though they lost to Japan, they did pick up 2 sets. So I think we might have 2 teams that might be on emotional roller coasters in a way. But I think, if anything, Cuba would have a slight advantage because they'll want to get revenge and they'll want to hurry up and qualify for these finals.
Taking a look at the starting lineup, there is Mariah Luis, the 29-year-old. She's the big hitter from outside. Regla Bell, the captain of this Cuban squad, and she has got some pop in her arm. Regla Torres, beautiful spiker and blocker for this Cuban team. They go very big. Tamaris Aguero, she is the setter and is the #2 setter in the Grand Prix. Ana Fernandez has been up and down. Zola Barros, shaky on the serve. That's the storyline on her. Antonio Perdomo, after that match with Russia, he said he's very, very concerned with the poor team blocking.
Yeah, and that's been a story for them. They're up and down, Cuba is on the blocking end of it, and also their serves, as you mentioned. And also their digs haven't been up to par in the last couple matches either.
Selima Davidson in the game today, along with Mika Wagner. Played collegiate volleyball at USC. Valerie Sturck. She's the big hitter outside, along with Sarah Silvernail. She is a very promising player at the age of 22.
She's the heart and soul of this team as far as their hitting goes. She likes to set up around that left-hand side.
There's Allison Weston, so the starting 6 for the USA. Mick Haley, the coach, taking over from Terry Liskovich. Interesting, not in the starting lineup for this American squad. Yoko Zetterlund, the veteran setter.
Well, we haven't heard anything about an injury or anything like that. It may be that Mick just wants to start somebody else, get them some game time experience. He's already said that the reason why they're here is to scout these other teams, these world-class teams, and hopefully earn them a spot in Sydney in the year 2000 Olympics.
So Tamaris Aguero will serve for Cuba to start off this second match of our doubleheader in the Women's World Volleyball Grand Prix. Very entertaining opening match between Russia and Japan, and we can hope for as much from between Cuba and the USA, who seem to be coming on after a very poor start in the Grand Prix. And starting it off quickly in the middle, it's Mika Wagner.
Mika Wagner taking a little short set and doing some damage with it right down there in the middle.
Serving is Carrie Downey, #14, the Colorado Buffalo. So it'll be a quick side out for the Cubans. One of the knocks against this USA team, they have started out ice cold and they've allowed teams to get the big lead on them early.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10. I think in the case of China, 15 zip that they got beat against Russia, 15-1 scoreline. Tough to come back when you dig a hole like that.
Aguero setting over into the middle comes Zola Barros, the tall athletic player, 182 centimeters, and she's got some tremendous elevation.
We'll look for Cuba to exploit that back line of the USA.
That's Sturck over on the side. Mika Wagner dives, but now Cuba on the board for the opening point here in set 1.
Yeah, that'll even it up, and that time Wagner caught napping a little bit, didn't come forward when she should have.
Sarah Silvernail gliding across into the middle. Aguero sets up for Regla Bell. Silvernail all over that on the dig. Carrie Downey, a good-looking shot. Barros recovers. That's Fernandez in the middle and going into the net. Ana Fernandez, she's kind of been up and down throughout the Grand Prix, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has been, and, you know, she didn't have any alternatives there. There was nobody to even set to. She takes it on the second hit.
Weston serves. Tamaris Aguero, the reverse set, just missing on the corner. Regla Torres, she's not really content to get the booming shot. You can tell she is trying to aim it. She's got her spot picked out. Yeah,
she does that, and plus she's got a whole lot of patience. So it really doesn't matter the velocity on her ball. She's looking for the accuracy.
Aguero goes back for Fernandez, who rockets a shot down the middle, converts the kill. So Torres at 191 centimeters will serve. Selima Davidson up for Silvernail. Great shot down the side.
Silvernell doing a great job that time, going from left to right, jumping with that one leg that she always does when she performs that maneuver, and hitting the left sideline.
Aguero setting over for Regla Bell into the middle, and Carrie Downey stuck her hand out. That was really Mika Wagner's ball on the bump.
Absolutely correct, Sean. She sort of interfered, but again, that illustrates some of the inexperience that the U.S. team has, lack of communication.
The reverse set. That was for Sturck. Now Selima Davidson, Inver Zetterlund on the setting, and a shot that's very wild off the hand of Sturck.
Yeah, Sturck circled around that right side there, and even when she went up, she was out of bounds. It was always going to go wide.
Regla Bell, a flat shot. That's Carrie Downey. She was a step late in getting there. Good-looking shot, but she struck it too late.
And the Cubans doing a good job of shifting over, as you can see right there, both of them, number 14 and number 12. Fernandez applying the assist there.
Aguero setting over for Mariah Luis. Silvernell, that's a good dig to keep it going. Carrie Downey down the side. The first successful attack today for the Americans.
Hitting that back court with precision that time, Carrie Downey. American girls slowly learning, slowly getting their act together in this tournament.
Aguero goes back. Great dummying job for Mariah Luis. You can see the camera pull over in Luis's direction, but it's Zola Barros from behind the attack line.
Cubans very, very quick and very good at disguising their moves.
Selima Davidson setting for Silvernell. Cuba blocks that, and it drops inside, so Cuba bolting out to the 4-1 edge.
Well, the USA is going to find out that Cuba is that quick. They're going to have to be able to vary their attack instead of coming straight on.
Selima Davidson setting back for Silvernell. Whistled down, and I think someone was caught on the net. They're going to nail Regla Bell for it. So Klaus Fezer on top of the action here. Side out for the USA. Aguero setting over for Luis. It almost looked like Luis was pulled out of position, but she made the adjustment in midair. Tremendous athleticism.
Oh, she sure is. She's able to hit that top end, that tough left to right angle every time, it seems, almost in between the blockers and the net.
That's Carrie Downey. Still trying to find her stroke. She sent a couple of shots wide. So Cuba on top 5-1. This is the way it's gone for the USA. Cuba's got the lead early. We'll see if they can turn it around when we return to the Gifu Memorial Center. Stay with us on ESPN. Look at this USA squad just coming off a timeout. And really, they need to stop the bleeding early. This is what has hurt them in the Grand Prix. They've allowed teams to pile up the points in the early going.
Well, as Japan had some success against Russia in this last match that we just witnessed, what Japan was able to do is keep promoting those side outs, getting the ball back, and even if they don't get a point, you get more experience that way, and that's what the U.S. needs to do. Pressure situations, they need to play side out volleyball.
Nice shot there, coming in off the. That's Allison Weston. Yep. Hitting it from the wing.
Looked like it was going out. Excuse me, Sean. It looks like it was going out. Luis sort of stuck out her hand.
Carrie Downey, she has been wild here early on. A couple of spikes nowhere near the court, and then the serve that goes way long. Selima Davidson over for Silvernell down the side.
Silvernell should have gone with her first instinct, which was to hit cross court. She did. She got up in the air. You could see her hesitate a little bit, try to swing the ball back left and missed.
So this will be Luis on the serve. Luis, after the 1996 Olympics, where Cuba took the gold medal, she really rested for 6 months, came back, was very refreshed, and you see the result. She's one of the top attackers in the Grand Prix. In fact, currently ranked the #3 scorer, #4 attacker. And were it not for a disastrous Suwon pool, so we watch Regla Torres hammer a ball to the side.
Boy, painting that line with precision is Torres. She normally likes to go down the middle. She loves to set up in the middle and then take her options either left or right. There they get the touch, the USA. They'll celebrate that.
Allison Weston is cooking now from the left and right, beating the Cuban blockers to the punch. Aguero, the quick set, with a nod towards the playbook of Japan, Korea, and China. Fernandez putting it down.
Yeah, she put it down, and the American girl's a little bit too slow to react on that left-hand side. Silvernail sort of frozen in her tracks there.
Sturck almost looked like she was late getting there, but a big hole opened up in the middle. Sturck spotted it, so the USA gets the side out, now down by 5.
A big grin on her face. That time it's always good to get that first one over with early.
Aguero straight up and down for Fernandez, who levels a ball for the kill.
Now, this is the problem with the Americans at the net. They were way too spread out that time. When you're playing a team like Cuba that can hit those gaps, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to decide who's going to be spiking the ball, and you're going to have to get on it immediately.
Weston down the left-hand side. Check that, Carrie Downey, number 14. A ball that she took late. Didn't have much heat on it, but it found the spot. That's Aguero going over for Luis, who's rejected. Luis has a presence of mind to bump on her descent. Torres puts it up again. It's Fernandez. A little jockeying at the net. Mika Wagner, a solo effort. Now the USA will set up. Wagner dummying. Going down the side, it's Silvernail. Fernandez sets it up. But Zola Barros, coming from behind, interfered with Fernandez.
Wagner doing an excellent job that time, jockeying from left to right and back again, helping out with a block on 2 different occasions and getting credit for the kill in the end. Good job.
Then they kill a good sequence with a blown serve. So a side out. Cuba gets it back. You don't want to hand Cuba too many opportunities on blown chances like that, because they will pile up points quickly. There's another one there. Zola Barros really just swatting it down with both her hands.
Well, the USA, prior to that point, making the good little sequence to get the side out and then letting it go on a silly mistake. There's Wagner again. She's been coming on, Sean, the last couple of matches. She's her and Sarah Silvernail. They could be the future of U.S. women's volleyball.
Going long that time, it's Ana Fernandez.
Fernandez just overhitting that one, not getting her hand closed down on the ball.
Oh, and now they're saying that goes Cuba's way, so someone from the USA must have touched it. I didn't see it. But in the middle, Zola Barros, and there's another point for the Cubans. They're now halfway home at 8-2.
Yeah, we'll look for Cuba to dominate the center there, and if they have to go to the sides, they will. But they're going to try and keep that middle there, keep the Americans honest, keep them off the net. See another net violation.
That was by Regla Torres. Oh, and now they're calling the USA on it.
Yeah.
That's Allison Weston being nailed by Bella Hober. Selima Davidson setting up, but Wagner wasn't in position. Now you see Yoko Zetterlund, who is normally the setter. She is out today. Selima Davidson goes in. So a little mistiming there between the setter and hitter. The USA trying to regroup as we step away. Talking to the American team, very calmly explained they've got to stay close to the net, take away those open shots that the Cubans are getting thus far.
Yeah, even though from time to time they will get called, as we saw, on net violations twice in the last couple of points. But you know, the same concept is there, the same idea is there. You want to take away the easy stuff from the Cubans, make them work hard, make them hit over the top.
If you're just joining us, Russia earlier this afternoon defeating the Japanese in 4 sets. So Russia into Kobe as we watch Cuba struggle desperately to get off the net. Russia joins Korea in the finals in Kobe. Cuba, with the win here today, would also go in, and that would set it up. Japan, as the host nation, is in, and we've got our final 4.
Well, we're going to have a substitution here. Garner coming in, number 12 for the USA, in place of Carrie Downey for the serve. A little bit more height there. Potential at the net, a little bit better blocking.
Garner, the Arizona State Sun Devil.
Of course, immediately sending that out.
But Mick Haley not afraid to go down the bench. Remember, he's trying to get as many women as possible experience here against top-level international competition. Allison Weston.
Nice hit over there on that right-hand side by Weston. Jumping up about parallel to where the out-of-bounds line is and bringing it back in the right-hand side.
Regla Bell turned away. Cuba sets it up again. They'll go back for Silvernail, number 7. And she is nailed at the net by Regla Torres. Side out results.
She sets up a little bit too far from the net for that spike. As you can see, she's 2 or 3 steps away. It should have been closer. I couldn't tell from the play if it was a bad set or she just didn't get close enough.
These American women are going to have to hit the ball at the absolute zenith of its height if they want to get it past a much taller Cuban outfit.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to have to utilize a quick set, which we haven't seen so far. Of course, that's what Zetterlund is so good at. Perhaps with Selima Davidson in here, they haven't quite got the finesse that they would have with Yoko in there.
Big shot right down the middle, hit by Ana Fernandez. Now that's the shot that Mick Haley wanted the USA to take away from Cuba.
Now, a little back set there and finding that gap. The blocking pair didn't get over to the crease fast enough, so it's a point for Cuba.
That's Silvernail, and she gets into position early, really beating the Cuban blocking, who had yet to get into place.
And that's her first real big kill, going from left to right. That's what she likes to do.
Guerrero, the reverse set for Fernandez, and the USA still a step slow to get into the middle.
Cuba doing a very good job of hiding what their intentions are. That time Fernandez went up and looked right, then came back left, wrong-footed the American girls.
Selima Davidson setting over for Garner. That's still a live ball at the net. Aguero setting, really just blocking the half-hit shot from Garner, and no American woman was in the vicinity.
A big mismatch at the net almost in any occasion there. And Americans not really noted thus far in this tournament for their leaping ability. So there's that quick set that we talked about a little bit earlier, Sean, what they're going to have to employ. They can't just keep rocking the ball clear up in the air and hoping to get the lucky bounce underneath the Cuban blockers. So look for them to utilize that short set whenever possible.
And a substitution is waved off. Number 3, Carrie Wendell, tried to come into the game. Bella Hober says no. So this will be Sturck on the serve. And now there's some confusion. I think Klaus Bezer and Bella Hober are conferring. The USA wants the substitution. Now play continues. Sturck serves into the middle. Tismeris Aguero setting all the way across, and Mariah Luis, who has been quiet really in the first set. She's only had a couple of shots. She is turned away at the door by Mika Wagner.
Yeah, not bad by Wagner, and a little bit of an assist there by Selima Davidson, timing that to perfection.
Luis, a bump set back for Zola Barros, who makes the most of it. So Cuba gets the side out, 4 points away from closing out set 1. Selima Davidson setting over for Garner down the left side.
Should be very happy with that. That was a very precision-like shot by Garner. Caught the backcourt moving to the left, and she was able to fill in the space there quite nicely.
Luis dummies for Zola Barros, and the USA scrambles. Good to see that hustle, though, from the American squad.
Well, this is the first we've seen of Selima Davidson in a while. We saw her at the beginning of the other matches. She was on the bench. I don't know what exactly she's done to her hand, but she's still heavily strapped up.
And there are some of those mistakes resulting from inexperience and youth on this American team. Sturck miscommunicating with Allison Weston. And do you think that's a result of these women just not playing together very often?
Yeah, they don't know their strengths and weaknesses really that much yet. And I think this is what's going to happen is their team progresses as they have more match experience, and they will know exactly who's supposed to be there for that situation.
So that ball goes out. Bella Hober waving it off, saying someone from Cuba touched the spike. So the USA now down by 9.
Doesn't help matters any sending. That's a second service fault for Garner.
Not happy with herself, clearly. Mariah Luis serves. Shot to half court. Weston misplayed it. The blocking by Regla Torres. And that's an easy side out for the Cubans. Check that point, rather, with Luis serving.
And shoveling in players again. Terrible set on that previous point by Weston.
Carrie Downey comes in from Christine Garner, who's struggling. That's Silvernail down the left. Fernandez got there, but she had no one to help her out.
Yeah, they have 2 or 3 points now. They've gotten of their 4 or 5 down that left-hand side. Garner hitting it once. That time Silvernail replicates.
Aguero, that's some great dummying from Zola Barros. The USA clearly confused. So the side out again.
Well, Cuba not really at this point having to show their whole hand to the U.S., and that was just an example. If the game gets too close, what they can resort to.
And that goes long. But the contrast between these two teams, the Cubans just so much more fluid. Everyone's going into position. There's constant movement. The USA looks somewhat robotic and deliberate in their movement.
Yeah, and again, that's because they don't know each other's moves yet. They don't know what positions their strengths and weaknesses are on yet, and it's going to be a learning process. And typically these things can take, you know, 2-3 tournaments over a period of years.
Aguero goes over for Regla Bell. Miko Wagner keeps that going, but the shot into the stands just over the head of Mick Haley.
Well, Silvernail wanting the coaches to jump out of the way that time. I think they're wiser just to stay put. That ball was out of play.
That gets over the net again. Good blocking by the Cubans. Aguero gets her hands in front of it. Regla Bell rips a shot across the middle for the kill, and that will bring up set point.
Well, she's awesome on that left side. If she gets anything to that left side of her hand, she's able to kill it.
Silvernail goes into the net. So Cuba takes the opening set 15-4. This Team USA very overmatched. So set 2 when we return. You're watching the Women's World Volleyball Grand Prix on ESPN.
For years,
Live in Gifu, Japan. Cuba taking the opening set easily 15-4 over an overmatched Team USA squad.
Yeah, the USA team did all the things that they were doing the first 3 or 4 matches, actually 6 that we've seen them. Very, very, very tentative on receiving of serves at the net, blocking really not there, positioning, they just don't know each other yet. It's going to take time.
So 2 more sets and Cuba will find themselves in the finals of the World Volleyball Grand Prix in Kobe, Japan later this month.
Keep waiting maybe for Perdomo to start emptying his bench and bring some girls in here because they are going to have some tough matches ahead of them. Or perhaps they might wait till after this set.
Cuba will have 1 more match in the Gifu pool. That would be against Japan. So a chance for Cuba to take a look at their opponents for the finals in Kobe. This is Salima Davidson on the serve for the Americans. Aguero setting it up. Little touch job by Zola Barros. And no one from the USA again falling. You could hear them urging each other, but it was a case of, I got it, you take it.
Yeah, and a lot of times when these balls are bumped up, they're not bumped up in any particular direction, and so it looks like there's no plan. If there's no plan, then the girls really don't know what to do.
Once again, the mistake made by the Americans, that's Allison Weston. So Mariah Luis will get another shot at it. Played off the net by Davidson. That's Regla Bell getting a hand on it. Valerie Stirk over for Carrie Downey, who busts through.
Well, she got the touch that time. Good blocking up there by Cuba, and a nice play by Allison Weston as she does split the blocking, aiming for the far right blocker there, and she catches the inside hand, rolls it out of bounds.
Oh, Downey gets herself an ace. The quick serve comes up short. She saw Cuba's defensive alignment, leaving a big hole in that left corner. Zola Barros shot. USA gets the hand on it. Silvernail balloons one back. Regla Bell sending that way wide, so the USA gets a little lucky.
Now, so if the USA is going to have a chance, they're going to have to hope things like that keep bothering Cuba.
The set goes back, and it's Allison Weston again, and she's been the best spiker for the USA here.
Well, she's come out guns blazing this second part of this match here, second set. First from the left, now she switches it over to the right with the same result.
23-year-old who came out of Nebraska. And she leads the blocking, so Weston getting it done on the offensive and defensive end of things.
Here as they go up again, straight up attempted spike by Bell there, straight in the arms of Weston. I'll take it, thank you very much.
Damaris Aguero up for Fernandez and a touch on it. So that'll get a side out, but the USA leads here 2-1.
Cuba having a lot of success right in the heart of the USA lineup, straight there in the middle. You just witnessed Fernandez exploiting an area.
That's Bell. She drills it between the two American blockers. That's her 4th successful attack today. So the USA will get it back. Now, what killed them in set 1? Falling behind early. At one point, it was 10-2, and Cuba really cruising after that.
That's right. We really don't know about the Americans, what they do in a close game, because they haven't, to be honest, been in many close games. Against Japan, we do know that they were able to pull a couple sets out, so they can just stay close, hang around, play some good side-out volleyball. Who knows? As we see the shot on the right-hand side there going through the two blockers.
That was by Aguero, who's normally the setter for the Cubans. Fernandez a shot over the top of the Americans. And then Sturck just has to really lift one back in. And Mariah Luis. And it's not very long before Cuba will make you pay for your mistakes.
Yeah, America's having to be very adventurous because the sets that they're getting aren't of the highest quality, to say the least. Underhand attempt there by Silvernail, just nailed by the Cubans.
Serving by Cuba has not been their strong suit in the 97 Grand Prix. Cuba has actually won the Grand Prix 3 times. That's Torres right down the line. Oh, what a beautiful shot. Virtually unstoppable.
Certainly was, lulling the Americans to sleep, thinking that the attack all time is going to come from the other side. Switching very quickly, and the blockers can't get over there fast enough.
Klaus Fezer overruling the line judge on that call.
Getting the touch that time on Wagner. And see, these are the sort of mistakes that the U.S. is prone to make. Mistakes of interference, of inexperience, putting the hand up when the ball was going out, to be sure.
And that goes long. So both teams here trying to get settled on the serve in set 2.
Cuba trying to keep the Americans pinned back in the back part of their court.
Aguero goes to the reverse for Zola Barros, who couldn't get any velocity on the ball. Fernandez deals to keep it in play. That'll be Regla Bell. Blocked right back in the face of Regla Bell. Salima Davidson leading the charge on that one.
Well, Bell trying to call, saying that Davidson was on the net, but referee not buying any of that.
Actually, now he is. Cuba will serve again after the side out.
Then again, that was obvious. Wagner crossing over from left to right, scraping the back part of her uniform against the net. But, you know, they're doing what Mick has told them to do, stay on the net.
Salima Davidson rushes over to get into place.
Nobody on that right-hand side for the USA. Now Silvernail transverses over.
And a shot that goes way long off the hand of Zola Barros. The Cubans do get 1 point, and they're on top 4-3 with the USA about to serve. And that's Davidson. Barros pushes it over for Mariah Luis, who is turned away. Mika Wagner. She's really been up on the blocks today. Yeah,
Luis lack of concentration there. I don't think she was really bothered by the girls at the net, but just sent it into the net.
Regla Torres, and that looked like it got on the line.
Yeah, she's going to get the nod for that attempt there, moving from left to right.
Torres really has a knack for hitting those lines, both down the side and cross court.
Trying to force it a little bit. That was number 14 carried down. He's trying to go through two blockers.
So we get the technical timeout. Cuba has got the slim lead as we take a break. Cuba on top in set 2, 5-4. Coverage of the Women's World Volleyball Grand Prix. This is live action from the Gifu pool. Cuba taking the opening set 15-4, and they lead in the second set 5-4, but it's a much more energetic American squad, and they've been getting their spikes along with Allison Weston.
Yeah, Allison Weston's really been a spark plug. Silvernail from time to time. They do miss Zetterlund, though. But, you know, at the same time, you've got to give Davidson a shot. She is going to be the setter of the future. Yoko provides the leadership, but now Celine as well. You got to put her in there.
And there's one that drops inside from the Cubans. That's a service ace from Mariah Luis. Another mistake for the Americans. Really, no serve should drop untouched by the opponent. Going up was Zola Barros.
Wagner trying to salvage something there. The poor set by Selima Davidson. Actually not her fault. There was a big space at the front of the net there. Wagner was never going to get there.
But that time Cuba was really just able to stand there and watch the Americans make the mistake. And that drops in. Again, Allison Weston, by far now the best spiker for this American unit.
Yeah, it's lining up a little bit farther away than she normally would, taking a little bit of pace off of the ball as she hit it.
That's Torres turned away. Cuba will load up once again. Aguero, you can see why she's one of the better setters in the Grand Prix, spotting Luis well back. Now Luis pushes it over for Silvernail, who finds the hole in the back.
Silvernail shuffle stepping to her left there, getting up in the air and finding that space to her surprise, and she takes it. Again, the Americans doing a pretty good job of taking the pace off of the ball so that they can be more accurate.
Davidson over for Silvernail on the left. Aguero reverses for Regla Torres. Miko Wagner's shot rejected. And finally, getting through. They go back to Weston one more time. That's 10 attacks. She's broken into double figures.
And look at the percentage, 67%. Not bad.
Kerry Downey goes to a short serve. They've caught Cuba looking on a couple of those balls.
Well, when in doubt, you go to your number 8, Regla Bell. She provides a spark again. Seems like every time they get into a funk, they go back to her. She's able to come through for them.
Bell was the top attacker in the 1996 Grand Prix. 463 total attacks. Those are successful attacks, mind you.
And very high percentage, too, as we've seen throughout this tournament.
Wagner with a short one just past the attack line. Regla Bell puts a little extra grunt into it. That's Silvernail, and she goes long. Not the shot to play in that position.
Yeah, Selima Davidson doing a good job getting up to Silvernail, but Silvernail just went up in the air a little bit too soon and hit the ball over the top.
Torres with a flat serve that right away you could tell was not going to clear the net. So a tight second set here, error filled, but the USA hanging in. Aguero behind the attack line. For Zola Barros, the push shot. Luis wasn't fooled. Again, it'll be Zola Barros. The bump set up. Low percentage shot from behind the attack line for Allison Weston.
And that's all that Cuba needs to do. Just keep up the pressure on the USA. Test that back line because they're having a hard time bringing it up to in front of the attack line.
Davidson pushes it back, and Sturck makes the mistake. So the 8th point now of the second set for the Cubans. Really, that was a poor set by Davidson.
Very poor.
Little change up. Zola Barros couldn't get her hands around it quick enough. A little shot off the net, but Silvernail finds some court.
Well, the USA making some progress off of their own mistakes on that particular point. The ball, for all intents and purposes, was dead. Silvernail did a nice job of coming over and doing something with it.
Oh, that was a bullet off the hand of Ana Fernandez, slapping this ball. Look at the heat she dealt.
Wow, in between those blockers and in between the two backcourt players, too, Sean.
Fernandez with a long, high serve. Davidson, the reverse set. Off the net. That's a fat ball, but Cuba couldn't get it in position. Great set from Selima Davidson.
Yeah.
Her problem today, inconsistency.
Inconsistency, but that was great. She made that set on the run. Perfect position for Silvernail, who dealt with it.
Carrie Wendell, the former Stanford Cardinal, number 3, 23-year-old. She stands 180 centimeters, comes off the bench. Short serve. Poor reception, really, by Zola Barros. For a touch shot. That was heads-up play. Very smart from Silvernail. As you could see, Cuba not ready for the dink shot.
Well, all the really good players are able to mix up their repertoire, and Silvernell's working on it. We know she can hit the ball, but what can she do when the blockers are there? Can she improvise? She did a pretty good job of it that time.
A rocket! But Cuba doesn't get the call. Let's take another look, see what happened.
Here we go. Oh, well, hitting the top of the cord there. Looked like she was going to split the blockers.
That was touched by USA, so back it will go to Cuba, but now tied at 8 apiece. Solibero's shot usually finds its hand glancing off an American blocker. That's Silvernell from the left. Check that, Carrie Downey operating from the wing.
That's good for Downey, and then we're getting a lot of substitutions here. Here comes Yoko in. And not a bad job by Selima Davidson. She gets a little hand, polite hand, as she goes out.
That'll delight the crowd. Yoko Zetterlund, very close ties to Japan. She grew up here, attended school and university at Waseda near Tokyo. Finally, at the age of 21, dropping her dual citizenship and becoming a citizen of the United States.
And instantly, the quality of sets goes up, but Downey missing that time.
Oh, and they're saying she connected, or rather a Cuban blocker. That's right, Cuban blocker got the touch on it. So the USA on top here, and we're deep into the second set. That's Louise. Silvernell digs it out, a little extra effort. Pushing it back, that'll go the USA's way. Mika Wagner should have closed it off. Mariah Louise's shot, and the USA couldn't keep it inside, and Wagner knows she had a chance to close that out and get the USA their 10th point.
Yeah, she did, and that's why she's patting her hands together there.
Zetterlund, the reverse set, touch shot, and look at the open court left for Carrie Downey.
Well, a little bit of intimidation tactic that time by the Cubans, trying to just cut off that net and stay up there, glaring at her from across the net. And Downey responds just by a little dink.
Aguero going over for Zola Barros. Check that. That's Regla Torres. So another side out, and we're stuck on 9-8.
Well, this is where the USA needs to start establishing itself, showing that they can control the ball, too, getting these sides out. See what they can do here.
Downey busted through. Regla Bell keeps it alive. Good hustle from her. This will be Zetterlund setting it up for Weston, who plays it off the net. Again, Yoko Zetterlund working well with Mika Wagner. You can see her just take the briefest of looks Wagner's way. The shot straight down the middle.
Wagner doing a fine job there in the middle. Of course, a great set that time by Yoko Zetterlund. Yeah, and you're right, Sean. They work well together, don't they?
Sturck comes in for Wendell. So the USA gets a little bigger. Sturck with an 8-centimeter differential over her teammate, Wendell. So Mika Wagner will serve with the USA on top. Aguero into the middle, and no one in the vicinity for the USA to stop the shot from Ana Fernandez.
Okay, Cuba trying to open up that middle again like they dominated so much in that first set.
Big shot from the right side. Weston continues to be on fire here at the Memorial Center.
Left and then right side again, and then she'll go back to the left side. She's very accurate today. This is the best I've seen her play the whole tournament.
Fernandez, perhaps a little late getting to that spike. Mariah Louise bumps it up. That'll be Bell, blocked. And the USA getting the job done. Look at that, 10-8. And so we get the technical timeout at 10 points. So Yoko Zetterlund off the bench gives the USA a lift as we step away. They're on top by 2. Has quickly turned it around, Chuck Schreiner. They're on top 10-8. Looks like Zetterlund's giving them a boost.
She sure has. And also, don't forget Weston, both from the left and the right side. But yeah, the little spark plug Weston, the veteran, that's who they look to. And she's coming through for her already. Particularly working real well with Mika Wagner there in the center. USA's been able to open up a little bit of territory there, get some real estate open, and they've been able to bury some shots.
Meanwhile, Cuba, they look a little bit down after taking that first set easily. And that falls again the USA's way. So a 3-point cushion for them.
Catching the line on that left side there. Cuban girls not getting the elevation they were since we've seen them last, Sean.
Aguero up for Fernandez, and she elevates just enough to get it past and get the side out.
Yeah, right over number 6, Valerie Sturck that time.
Close Fezzer hasn't yet whistled it in. Now Bell can set up. The southpaw Bell deals cross court. Yoko Zetterlund the quick set. Cuba really's got to make the adjustment to the quick sets from Yoko Zetterlund. Pushing it back for Wagner, and she missed wide. But again, Yoko Zetterlund able to bring a lot more variety. You can see now the USA attacking from all angles.
Yeah, and that bodes well for them because her communication with these girls is far and above that of Selena Davidson. We're not seeing the mistakes in footwork and timing that we saw when Selena was in there.
Shot from the left side from Silvernail. Now she will serve with the USA still holding a 2-point edge. Short serve, too short, in fact. That's a mistake.
Well, the USA in the last 5 or 6, starting from when Yoko came in the game, they are serving much shorter.
Zetterlund turning it around. It's that dump shot. Cuba scrambles, but Zetterlund, every once in a while, she'll pull that out and spring it on her opponent.
Yeah, right in the middle of the court right there. They're expecting the short set to the opposite side, and then she dumps it over.
Aguero going over for Luis, and the USA is saying no one touched it. Klaus Fezzer agrees, and the USA closes in on what once would have been unthinkable, getting a set over a hot Cuban team. Aguero struggles to get that into play. Luis now from behind the attack line. Silvernail down the side. How about this? 13-9 now, the USA on top.
Well, tough. Silvernail painting that right side that time, and the USA's on a little hot streak. 2 more points, and that'll cause Cuba to call a timeout.
Antonio Perdomo talks it over. Now, he said going into this match, blocking had been the weak spot of this Cuban lineup, and we've seen it here in the second set. A lot of these spikes from the USA have really gone unchallenged by Cuba.
Yeah, they have. And there's not like there's a whole lot of pace to these spikes at the US. They're trying to zone in on accuracy at the moment, but the Cuban girls just not elevating at all, and their digging has been really, really suspect too.
And let's remember, Cuba needs a win here in Gifu. They can't afford to go 0-3. They must get a win if they hope to qualify for the finals in Kobe.
Well, they also don't want to be in a position where they have to beat Japan on home turf. So this would be the game that they would want to lock up.
Zetterlund the quick set for Mika Wagner, and the USA buy themselves a set point.
Great play by Wagner that time, going up one-on-one against the blocker, selecting the one on the left-hand side and catching the outside of the hand.
That's Mariah Luis. Deep shot, handled easily from behind the attack line. Now Aguero, and she catches the line.
Thought that was going out. So Cuba staying in this set by the skin of their teeth, Sean.
That's right, and they changed up that time. Aguero went to the spike. She's normally the setter. Mika Wagner trying to quickly get the side out. Cuba keeps it going. Free ball now. The push goes up for Zetterlund, the quick set, and that was actually a poor set by Zetterlund. She got no height on the ball.
Yeah, she knows she's just apologized to Wagner. Wagner is smacking her hands because she had it. A little bit higher, and then it's set.
Now she goes back, but again rejected by Cuba. That time they got 3 women into position, and they closed to within 3.
Yeah, here we go. A little bit too far away. Able to get the hands over, breaking the plane of the net, which is entirely legal.
Zetterlund with the reverse for Silvernail, who gets all of that one. Oh, I thought Cuba would have got in a position to dig it out, but Silvernail with a little extra chili sauce.
Well, Fernandez just standing and watching that. Not a whole lot she could have done about it. Short serve again by Yoko.
That was the second set point for the USA. And again, Cuba fights it off. Regla Torres with a rocket.
Here we go. Left to right that time. 1 foot jump just in front of the antenna.
Zetterlund setting the other way now.
Wagner doing a fine job of dumming in the middle there, Sean. To whatever side that Yoko puts the ball, she's always up in the air, and the Cuban girls taking their eyes off the primary receivers.
Carrie Downey stays short with the serve, leaving acres of space open in the middle. Regla Bell hits towards the back, so another chance for Cuba to close. Sturck, a reverse bump. This will be a free ball by for the Cubans. Yoko Zetterlund keeps it going. Good digging by Team USA. Blocked, but it falls on the American side of the net.
Now that's number 14 that time for Cuba, Fernandez. Able to put the heat on that one when the girls are in the air, freezing the action, catching them off the body. We're going to get a timeout, I guess.
This is Mick Haley calling timeout. He's watched his American team give up 2 tough points to the Cubans. There's a look at the attack percentage. Really not a lot to choose from. But if you go back to that first set, Cuba clearly had their way with it. The USA responding in the second set.
Yeah, the blocks, Cubans starting to come around a little bit. I think they're pretty deficient in that category until just recently. And, you know, it remains to be seen if the Cubans can wake up. What is impressing me about the USA team is their digging. Now, they're digging some really, really hard spikes from these Cuban girls who are known to be about the most powerful in the world. They're digging them up and putting the ball in play for Zetterlund, who's able to get the ball over to Silvernail.
And really, Zetterlund has been able to work 3 and 4 women into the mix offensively, and that's given the Cubans some problems.
The dummy by Wagner again there in the middle.
So that gets interesting now. Cuba within 1, a point to tie. Remember, you must win by 2. 15-14 is not going to get it done. Weston with a shot that went off a Cuban blocker's hand, so the USA will get it back once again, and they'll see if they can squeak out here in the second set. Mariah Luis bumps. Aguero over for Bell, who rips one over to the right-hand side past the outstretched hands of Mika Wagner.
Well, when the going gets tough, they're always going to go to Regla Bell. They have throughout this tournament. That left side, she is deadly. She takes that from left side, squares it to the center, and gets the break.
And a ball that just falls past the hands of Valerie Sturck. So we are tied at 14. Cuba still has the serve. And now it's the USA who've got to get a little more defensive. The one-hand bump by Luis to keep it going. And oh, look at that. The Cubans on the line. Really, the USA very poor on defense. That was an easy ball.
That's one that got away. They were like in a circle around it. All 5 girls just standing there watching the ball fall in the middle. You got to take responsibility.
Touch shot. Zetterlund goes to the reverse set. Mika Wagner way out of position to take that. Aguero tries to slow it down. Zetterlund bumps. Over it goes for Wagner, who pushes it up. Fernandez underneath it for Bell. That's a big shot, but they're saying it was touched by an American, so Cuba escapes. They win the last 6 points of the set and take it 16-14, and now hold a 2-set lead over the USA. Tough set for the USA. More from Gifu right after this. Center in Gifu, Japan. We have just seen the USA blow a 14-10 second set lead over Cuba. Cuba reeled off 6 points in a row, and that has got to be a crushing blow to the Americans.
Yeah, and it's the difference between a very experienced team and a team that's still trying to find its feet. USA certainly, especially when Yoko Zetterlund came back in, had their opportunities. A couple bad sets, bad decision-making on returns and things like that. One particular point that comes to mind when you had a ring of 5 girls standing around watching the ball fall into the court. And these are the things that experienced teams don't do and inexperienced teams do.
So Cuba now 1 set away from a spot in the finals in Kobe for the 1997 Women's World Volleyball Grand Prix. There is a dispirited American squad. Weston, at the bottom of your pictures, has been by far the best spiker for the Americans over 2 sets. Aguero continues to be steady in the role of setter. Aguero pushing it for Regla Bell. We've got Salima Davidson back in the lineup for Team USA. Zetterlund sitting down.
Well, I think if the USA would have won that last set, they would have stuck with Zetterlund. But being 2 sets down, they're going to put Salima back there, see if she can infuse a little bit of fire after watching Yoko from the bench that second set.
That Silvernail easily blocked by the Cubans.
Nothing fancy about that. Silvernail telegraphed what she was going to do years ahead. There we go. Perfect block set up for the Cubans. Got down that angle. No chance for the ball to get through.
And really down 14-10. You've got to hand it to the Cubans. Defensively, they tightened up, got a lot better on the blocks, dug out some balls, and really fought their way back.
Exactly, and you have to remember that the tough 5-setter that they had to go through last night and losing to the Russians, and then able to come back today and be up enough to defeat a team or take the first 2 sets against a team who really has nothing to lose. And a lot of times those kind of teams can give you the most problems.
Right after the World Volleyball Grand Prix, Cuba has got to start thinking right away about World Championship qualifying. They go to the Dominican Republic in September, and in that same pool with them in the qualifying round in the Dominican Republic, the USA. So these 2 teams will be seeing a lot of each other over the next 6 weeks.
Well, I think the U.S. is going to have to hustle even to make it past that particular round, although they have showed a little bit of improvement in this tournament.
The reverse set from Aguero. Regla Torres back into the middle. And that just catches the line. No, check that. That's going long. Silvernail thought she had it, and so did I.
Yeah, Regla Bell making the right decision, letting that go.
A shot right off the hands of Allison Weston in the back. Another cheap point for the Cubans. Look at this.
Well, see, you look up just a little bit here, see? And not getting her body in position, going to the side, trying to take it off the side. She should have stayed right in front of it.
One of those in-between shots that you're not quite sure how to defend against.
A 50-50 ball there as we look at Fernandez coming in the game. 50-50 ball above the net, and the Cuban girl pounds it.
Davidson back for Silvernail. Nice dig by Fernandez. Aguero goes over for Regla Bell. Free ball from Mika Wagner. Fernandez dummies for Bell, who pounds it down.
Oh, Regla loves it over there, doesn't she? I don't know if there's anybody on this Cuban team that is as accurate as her. Cool, calm, and collected as she looks over to her bench. And reception mistake there. They're going to have to call a timeout.
And just as they had in the first set, Cuba racing out to the 5-1 lead. The USA clearly out of sorts after a tough second set loss. More from Gifu. A big 2-set lead over the USA. And Chuck Schreiner, we were just listening in on the timeout. The USA, they're still not down. They're still very much hanging in, trying to keep their spirits up, really just using the tournament at this point for experience.
Yeah, tough to do. As one of the assistant coaches said, they're going to have to watch their passing. They're not passing the ball well from the back row to the front, and that's eating them alive in a lot of instances. Although we see Weston with the kill right there. Not bad, 50%, 15 of 30.
Now, Mick Haley was asked if some of the ex-players from the U.S. Olympic squad would get back into the lineup, and he said there was a possibility players like Bev Oden, Kristen Scott, Tara Crossbattle could play their way back into the lineup, but he's saying he's going to be deciding on his Olympic squad really by the end of 1998. So this lineup that you see, it's pretty much going to stay fixed.
Well, let's hope so. Give them a chance. The only thing that concerns me is their lack of height and lack of power when you're going up against teams like Cuba and Russia, as we saw in that last game against Japan. It's very easy to be overwhelmed. So I do think they need 1 or 2 big hitters, and Yoko Zetterlund's not going to be around forever, so that might be a direction that they want to look into. And whether or not it's going to be Salima Davidson that gets the nod is yet to be seen.
Close. Fezzer arguing with the Cuban squad. Tasmeris Aguero saying she didn't touch it. Fezzer disagrees. It goes back to the United States. This is Silvernail's serve. Anna Fernandez in the middle. Good blocking by Team USA. From the side, Zola Barros coming over. Nothing doing there.
Yeah, overhitting that time. Barris. All she needed to do was put the ball at a huge space in the middle. Lots of real estate to traverse there, and she takes the wrong way.
Pushing it over for Regla Bell, who sends a shot racing across the middle.
USA employing that 3-3 tactic right now. The Cubans are just content to hit long if they want to. They're not using that middle space like they could.
Let's carry Downey. You can hear the American players saying 2-2, indicating going back into the middle.
That's right. And here we go, Downey on that left-hand side. Well, the blocking's slow to get over there, too, Fernandez.
Aguero for Luis. Luis really hasn't had to unfurl her cannon from the left-hand side, has she?
No, she has. She's been going to that little dink shot. She's been highly effective with that. She's been able to keep the American girls off the net. So unless they get in real tight, we're going to see more dink shots.
And the USA caught out of position defensively. Cuba really good at using the entire width and length of the court.
And that way they can spread out all their opponents and just pick them off one by one. They have 3 or 4 hitters that can do the job.
That's Mika Wagner, and she forced Cuba to touch it. Oh, and Fezer saying no, that was clean.
Wagner doesn't like that.
I have to say, some of the calls today have been borderline, to put it politely. That's Carrie Downey down the left.
She hit that or miss it?
Looked good. Looked like she out-hustled Tamaris Aguero, who touched it, but by then, that ball was sailing.
Oh, dear. Well, the American girls trying to float the ball in very, very short to force the Cubans to show their hand early.
Davidson setting it up for Silvernail. It's a tough shot when it's that far behind the attack line.
Yeah, Sarah needs to be right at the net, right close to the net, but of course they're concerned about the Cuban blockers and the height advantage that they do have, and plus their leaping ability. Got a touch there, though. I think it might.
That's right.
Side out.
It was Regla Torres touched that ball late, so Allison Weston continuing to show the USA the way on the kills. Aguero over for Luis, and that's the big shot that we have seen throughout so much of the World Volleyball Grand Prix.
Yeah, she hasn't uncorked it more than 2 or 3 times, but there is an instance of it, how tough she can be and how little time you have to react to something like that.
Selima Davidson, the short ball for Mika Wagner.
Mika loves those little short balls. She got them from number 2, Zetterlund, before. Now Selima Davidson providing the same sort of service for her.
Christine Garner coming into the game. So Mika Wagner will sit down. She has struggled somewhat here in the 3rd set. But Chuck, it's almost like we've seen 2 polar opposite Cuban teams. You go back to the Suwon pool, they were really, well, pathetic, to put it mildly, in losing to Japan and Korea. And then in their next pool, completely blowing away the opposition. And then here they've been up and down. They're dominating the USA. They lost to Russia yesterday.
Yeah, and they've got one more match to go. They really need to put this one away, salt it away, and then lick their wounds, because they got to still be hurting from that tough loss yesterday against Russia. Have a good outing against Japan, and then get ready to play them again.
Antonio Perdomo was asked about the poor play of Cuba in the Suwon pool, and he was saying, well, there were a number of factors, including the 30-hour flight that they had taken from Havana to get to Suwon, South Korea. They only had 5 hours of sleep, so really they were in poor shape to begin with.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of these teams also had long flights. Catch the line.
Yes, she did. So now make it 9-4. Regla Bell. She doesn't miss too often, does she?
No, I mean, especially that cross court. Not a bad angle either. She's able to cut through diagonally, cut through 3 defenders. And that seems to be the only bright spot for the Americans to cheer about, as you hear them in the background. Whenever Cuba misses a serve, you hear the yay from the American side.
That'll be Bell. A shot to the back. No chance at all for Davidson. Cursing the signboard.
Well, it wasn't the signboard. She would have had to go up the 2nd or 3rd row to chase that one down.
Torres with a deep serve. Davidson tight to the net. Regla Bell just extending herself and waiting, so Cuba now 5 points away from a spot in Kobe. The USA on the wrong end of a 10-4 count. We'll be back to Kobe. Stay with us on ESPN. Really the polar opposite of Nikolai Karpol. He knows he has a young, inexperienced squad here in the 97 WVGP, and he continues really to just play the role of teacher.
Yeah, and that's a very good observation, Sean. Yeah, he's teaching these kids. He's teaching them how it is to play against major league teams. Top 5, 6 teams in the world are here, except for Brazil. So he's going to be very patient with them. Enviable position if you are a coach, because that gives you time to insert your system, insert the sort of players, the sort of attitude that you want. And give him time, I think he'll come through for him.
No question about it. Mick Haley does have a system. This guy has won 8 national titles at the University of Texas. As we watch Zola Barrow's shot just clipped the line. Mariah Louise trying to slap one down. Downey sets up along with Davidson. That's Silvernail. Shot handled easily. Aguero goes over for Louise. There's that tight angle, the big inside-out shot. Mariah Louise has patented that.
And here we're going to get a chance to see it again. And look, immediately goes down right below the net as soon as it crosses that plane of the net.
Davidson pushing it over for Downey. The block. Davidson once again. Out-dueling Downey thus far. Silvernail into the net. USA now starting to rush some points.
Well, see, the problem is Silvernail, whenever she jumps, she is behind the attack line, so she's got to jump with one leg, and she has to have her momentum coming forward. Now, for some reason, they're keeping them off the net. As the ball bounces there, it's going to be another point for Cuba.
That caught some paint.
They're having to keep her, if she's away from the net, if she can't get close to the net and won't mix it up with these blockers, then we're not going to see her power. She's not going to get any confidence either. I say put Silvernail up against these big girls. And, you know, if it gets back in her face, so be it. At least challenge.
And I think we might have seen the last of Mariah Louise, the 19-year-old Yamilka Ruiz, just into the game before Mick Haley calls a timeout. Tough couple of points for Team USA.
And look at the blocks, 10-4 here. Successful blocks. Percentage, nothing much in that. USA has a few more attacks, but that's because they keep getting the ball pushed back at them. So statistics sometimes don't tell the whole story. As we look at Weston's 18 attacks.
Way out in front. Now going into this Gifu pool, we would have said Sarah Silvernail would be the big attacker. Instead, it's been the former Nebraska Cornhusker, Allison Weston.
Who didn't even get a couple of starts at the beginning of this tournament. Now she's come on a little bit. So that's got to be good news for Haley.
I'm sure Mick Haley continues to learn a lot about this team, evaluating both strengths and weaknesses. Cuba, meanwhile, 2-time defending Olympic champion. Looks like they're right where they should be, 2 points away from a spot in the finals of Kobe. And their 5-set loss to the Russians, at least they sent the Russians a message, we are neck and neck with you, pal, going into Kobe.
Oh, sure, but the really disheartening thing is Cuba takes those first 2 sets from Russia and then comes back and loses 3 in a row. That can't do too much for their ego as we watch the end of the set.
And fittingly, Regla Bell ends it on an ace, so the USA all throughout this match had difficulty receiving serve from Cuba, and so that ends straight sets. Cuba takes out the USA.